Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Lynn and I am Pretty Paper Craft 67. This afternoon I'm just coming on to do a little craft with me for Fiona Colley over at LavenderBlu at the Facebook group, LavenderBlu Facebook group. As part of this week's Freebie Friday, Fiona has given everyone on the group this printable that is available in her shop, but she's given it as a freebie if you're part of the group. And it's called the Gypsy Cabinet Journal Cards kit. It's what, 2, 4, 6, 8 little Gypsy Cabinet card lady female images, and they're just really sweet. So I had a look. There was a challenge. We had to do a challenge to create some boho tags, which I did. If you head over to the group, join the group on Facebook, you'll see everyone's entries for the boho tags. But then I had a look at these, and I was interested by cabinet cards, and I kind of wasn't sure, so I went onto YouTube, as we do, and I had a look at some examples of cabinet cards, and I thought what I wanted to try to do was be inspired by the cabinet cards, but make tags. I don't know, out of all the junk journal ephemera, I love tags. Tags would be my favourite thing. So I created these two last night, and I just thought I'd turn the camera on today and just show you my process for creating these tags, something a little different to what we, to what cabinet cards generally are. The only thing I'm going to say are the examples that I saw on YouTube. Traditional cabinet card has a very fancy edge to the outline of the photograph. I didn't have a fancy die cut like that. All I had was a circle and just this really thin square, if I can pick it up, really thin square. So that's what I've used to cut the area out of the tag for the photograph to slip behind. So I'm just going to put these aside, and we will just go through and create one of these, and I'll show you how I do it. So first of all, I've just cut my tags. Now I do work with big tags. I've just cut them from my tag template, and they're about 15 centimetres by 8.5 centimetres. That tends to be the size tag that I work with. But I cut them from manila folder. And then I just wanted to give that a really old, aged look. So I've done this one. This is the one we'll work with. But I'll just show you my process just for dyeing up a little bit of the cardstock. I'll just grab some plastic. Now I'm going to use the Tim Holtz Distress Ink Gathered Twig for this. And I just do it so simply. I just put some colour down on a plastic surface, and I just spray water on that. I love these inks being water reactive. I spray a fair bit because I want that to kind of, pool a bit. And then I simply just get my tag and I just start to lay it down in the ink. And then just flip it over and just sort of keep going with that until I'm happy with the result. You could take a heat gun to it to dry it off. You could just leave it dry on its own. But what I would recommend is a second layer applied once this one is dry, because the manila folder, if you're using manila folder, tends to really absorb it well. So that's my method for hand dyeing my tags to give it that real old grunge vintage look. So I'm just going to pop that one to the side to dry, and I'll come back to that later. Alright, so basically once my tag is dry, I did this one earlier, I picked the side that I like the best, and I really love this side. And then again, I just go in with my Distress ink. I'm using the Gathered Twig at the moment. And first of all, before I do any of that, before I dye my tag, you've got your plain tag, like so. And then I've just taken my die cuts, and I've just basically run them through the machine. I've positioned it where I like it to be, and then I just use a little bit of washi tape and tape that onto the cardstock and then I just run that through my die cut machine. So that's the rectangle piece, and then as I've done with these ones here, that's just my oval piece. So that's as simple as that is. And depending upon what size tag you use as to what sort of cutout part you have in your tags. You might have those really pretty ornate dies, and I must admit they look beautiful, but I didn't have those. Alright, so once I've got it to this point, then I just want to distress that just a little bit more. So I just come in very, very lightly and just give that a bit of colour all the way over the tag, just to sort of, I suppose, fill in some of the blank. Well, it's not blank areas as such, but you've got your darker coffee stain and then a lighter area. So I'm very gently just coming in off the page and just filling those lighter areas just a little bit. You don't have to worry about doing this on the back of the tag because that actually will be covered up. Then this cutout section here, I really, really heavily ink that, because once you put the photograph behind, I just want that frame. I just want the frame around the face to be very distinct. So that's why I come in and I just heavily, heavily ink through that section there. Like so. Alright, now what I've done with these tags, these ones here, I love that background. It looks very nice, but to me it needed something. So I have this stamp. No, I just bought it on Wish. So I don't know what brand it is. It probably isn't a brand. But yeah, it's just a whole heap of text. I hope that's not too glary on camera. Just a whole heap of text. So I find it to be a stamp that works so well with a lot of things. So I'm not going to use Distress ink to stamp it. I'm just going to use the Stamping Up. Yeah, I just like these a little bit more definition in the words when you use a different ink, in my opinion. So I'm just going to give that an overall good coverage with my ink pad, and then I'm simply just going to pick that up and just it won't fit completely. I'm just going to lay it where I think it works the best. I'm just going to lay that down and just give it a little minute for the ink to absorb through the cardstock. Give it a bit of rub. And then that's it. It's subtle, but it's there. So that's all I wanted, just to create some interest in the background. Okay, so that is pretty much the tag base done, decorated. Sorry, I'll just have a sip of coffee. So then I'm just gonna, from the sheet, I've already, this is the second printout, I've just picked an image. I think she's beautiful. So basically the idea of that, I'll take that away now, the idea of that is to just lay that in behind the cutout section. Simple as that. And you just, there's a little bit of juggling around just to get it in that area, but yeah, very pretty. So again, I'm just using my glue stick for this because it's just paper to paper. If I can find my glue stick, there it is. And I'm just simply going to put some glue stick down just around that cutout area. I'm not going to go all over the tag. And then I'm just going to bring my picture back in and just very carefully just kind of try and line it up like that. And then get my bone folder and just give that a nice burnish, just to make sure that everything is meeting everything. So there's our little lady put into the cabinet card tag. I really think they're lovely. Now on the background, I've just taken a couple of pages from the coffee stained newspaper kit, and I'm just going to use that as my background on these tags. These ones here, I've just used another page from the coffee stained newspaper kit. So they're not so much a journaling tag as they are just some embellished decoration, or You could put them onto the cover of a journal. Yeah, so, but if you wanted it for a journaling card, then all you would simply do is just put on the back, you just line it with some coffee dyed paper or something like that. So what I'm going to do, because I like to do things the easy way, I'm just going to lay my card down and I'm just going to trace around it. Like so, and just cut that out. Oh, my husband is sneezing. He sneezes like 8 times in a row every time he sneezes. Alright, simple as that. And then that's the back of my cabinet card. So then I'm just going to pop that over the top like that. Just again using glue stick. Give it a nice coverage of glue stick. Now I will machine stitch around the edges. So that's I like to do that, but it's not necessary. You don't have to. I'll just take that off of there and just line it up as best I can. So, and just give that a good burnish. And then as you can see, we've got some white edges, so I'll just trim those out. Because it's still, the glue's still wet, the paper's sticking to my scissors. Alright, now that's just a little bit wet still, so it's a bit warped, but it will come flat once it dries more and more. So that's basic building our tag. And so I'm just going to go around and ink up my edges front and back. And again, when you're getting to know me, you know I like heavy ink, but that's personal choice. You don't have to put any ink. You can put a little bit of ink. Everything is personal choice. Okay, so that is the building of the tag. Now it's just the embellishing of the tag. I just find, because it is a little warped, if you grab the edge of it and then push it out with your bone folder, it does kind of tend to lie a bit flatter. Like so I've just gone ahead through my stash and I've just picked some vintage laces and nettings and bits and pieces. And again, I've got the ephemera sheet from the Coffee Stain News from LavenderBlu, and I just am going to pick just a couple of pieces of ephemera from that, just to do, as I've done on this one, just to do some layering up. So again, this is however you like to do it. This is just my process. And I do like the numbers on this bottom piece here. I think they look really nice. So, and then I've just want a little bit of torn paper. So I'm just going to take a bit of this, like so, pop it away. And I should have grabbed, I'm just grabbing that. I just want my ephemera just to have a little bit of substance to it. So I'm just going to cut it out and I'm just going to stick it down onto some manila folder. Yeah, just so that it's got a little bit of, because I've just printed these out onto plain copy paper, so because it's a tag and it'll get pulled in and out of pockets and so forth, I just like these bits to be a little bit more durable. Just do that. Get rid of that. And then I'm just going to stick them down while we decide what lace we're going to use. Then I'll come back in and cut those out. Ready. I'll just give them a minute to dry. Just like that. Pop them there. Alright, so I just like this bit of torn paper. So I'm just going to sort of go there and just sort of taper it off down to the one edge like so. There. Pop that there. I've got some really pretty laces and netting and a bit of doily, which I just kind of cut pieces from. And I'd really like these like set in behind like so. And this netting is just so pretty. That's a beautiful piece. So I might just cut this little piece off here. It's got a bit of a trim line down the bottom. So I'm basically just making like a fabric cluster. And I do love a bit of a doily on there. That seems big. I'll give it a shot. I'll bring that down a bit because that's got that lace edge on it. And I can just put a doily so like that. And then we can just somehow just cut these out quickly. How are we going for time? Oh, we're getting on. Okay, so we just cut these bits out. I just kind of layer everything up. Somehow, and then I've got this sweet little tag which I think is so cute. Alright, something like this. So we could tuck the tag in behind the doily. You could have your numbers down the bottom, and we don't even have to use this one if it doesn't work. Something like that, simple as that. And then so what I'll do is I'll just quickly, I've only got about 10 minutes to go, so I'll just put some ink down on these pieces of ephemera. And then I just want to ink around the edge of this piece of paper. Okay, and then I basically start again. I don't stick it all down just yet because I would want to machine stitch around some portion of it. But yeah, I just lay a bit of lacing behind there, and then that could even be nice up there because that doily does kind of hide that a bit. And then I love this little one tucked in behind there like that. This one down below, and then that across like so. I love that. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly go to the machine and just stitch this together quickly. Okay, so I've just done a straight stitch just along one little piece of ephemera there, just to hold it all together. So now I'm going to grab my fabric glue, Helma's fabric glue, because I think there's a lot of fabric, there's a lot of layer, and I'm just simply going to give that a really decent amount of glue just on the back, going over everything. And then so you can all pick it up as one bunch, then it's so much easier. And just lay that down. I just like things a little bit over the cabinet card as such, or the image rather. But yeah, laying it down. Then I will come back in, when this is dry, I will come in and machine stitch around the perimeter of my tag. And what you can do also is you can go ahead, like this one here is a bit floating up in the air, so I just run a bit of glue there, just a bit of a bead of glue, and then you can just stick it down where it should. And the lace here behind is a bit the same, so I'll just run a bit of glue there. And then of course the machine stitching will hold it down even into place a little more. Right, so that is how I've built that up. And then last but not least, I'm just going to punch the hole, just eyeballing where I think is about centre, like so. Put that there. And then I've got this beautiful piece of netting, and I'm just going to cut that down a bit. Scissors aren't the greatest. They're nice and sharp, but they need something. And I'm just simply going to yeah, put that in my hole as a tie. And then I'll just trim that off a bit, like so. And there you go. Sweet, sweet little vintage cabinet card inspired tag. And then, like I said, once it's machine, it just finishes it off. I think the machine stitching will really just finish it off. And yeah, there you go. If you're doing, I won't say they're boho, because to me they're not. They're more vintage. So if you're doing, yeah, a journal, vintage inspired journal, or yeah, female ladies, whatever. Yeah, they really are a nice little project. So, Gypsy Cabinet Journal Cards by LavenderBlu shop, available as a Friday freebie in the Facebook group, the LavenderBlu group. So head on over and check that out. Alright, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this has been inspiring for someone. Give this a go. They're just really lovely. They turn out nicely, and they're just something a little different. You could actually use real photos in this way as well. Alright, thank you so much for joining me. I hope everyone has had a great day, as all well and getting some crafting time in. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.